The realm of will. January 20th, 2015. Each day a glorious day, even if the skies are filled with dark stormy clouds, as there is much to be grateful and appreciated for, including your ability to make decisions. Have you ever wondered where this ability came from? Did you inherit it from your parents or past relative? Did you acquire it from school, or did it magically appear out of thin air? There is a pattern that leads to you being able to choose or make a decision, and it comes from what you consider, what you feel, what your options are, and how committed you are at following through, and the possible ramifications. Yet it is the amount of commitment you are willing to apply that solidifies your decision-making ability at the very moment it is required. Yes, of course this pattern is impermanent, but you will always have a reason to justify your choice, even if your reason is an excuse. We understand you may not recognize the pattern that brings you to your decision, but it is understood that every choice you make comes from your will in action. And it is your will that is derived from the central core of your very being, even far from your mind at times. The realm of your will is boundless and timeless. You have experienced stumbling moments, where you think one thing, yet do something completely contrary to what you previously decided, or you will commit to something yet fail to complete or make excuses for why you are unable to finish what you agreed to. When decisions such as these arise, understand, dear ones, they were not produced from the central core of your being and that they do not carry the determined encumbrance of a genuine decision. You have made use of false, weak decisions before. They come from your emotional reaction to a situation, possibly by old habits you haven't yet let go of. Your inability to make concrete decisions could also be from upbringing and conditioning. A false decision doesn't have to remain false and untrue when you can choose to make it right by following through with your word. Over time, for your decisions to remain and to become better at making them, remember they must come from your very core, from the place your authentic self resides, the same place where your will resides within you. When the moment comes for you to decide, you are bringing your complete self to endure. It is not just you making the decision, but your whole, complete self participating in each step until completion. Each decision you make can be thought of as a special moment that is both timeless and beautiful as you are acting and moving from the purity of your natural self. Another way of demonstrating your will in action is whenever you pay attention to those around you and to what you are doing with your entire being present at that precise moment. In case you may have not known before, attention is one of the primary forces of your will. There is not a day that you don't rise to that does not require your focus or attention. What can sometimes be an issue is the amount of focus you actually give. Try, sometime in your day, to tune your attention to yourself and conclude how attentive you are to your surroundings, to the people you interact with regardless in person or through electronic means, and see if you can recognize how tuned in you are to what is being said or going on. Can you retell what you heard? Are you able to retain what was read or spoken? By becoming observant of your own attentiveness, you will be able to ascertain just how focused you are during certain situations. You will be able to pick up on your emotional and sensory perceptions and impressions, watch your thoughts enter your mind and understand from an internal window how you then proceed. This provides you with the ability to change your thoughts before you act upon them, to become more aware and conscientious of what is happening around you and with those that come and go. It is your attention, dear ones, that brings focus to your awareness and consciousness. Just like when you make decisions, your own attention and focus also comes from the realm of will, a space within you that is timeless yet is always manifesting. It is important to comprehend that attention and focus is an important part of your will and illuminates who you are. It is true, where your attention is at any given moment, is where you are. When you direct your attention, you are performing an act of will. There are several ways that you can practice becoming more attentive and sustaining focus. It's not quite like watching your favorite television show, where you are riveted to the moving pictures. Understand, dear ones, even though what is observed through television is definitely entertaining, what is shown does not engage your will to become active, instead you become passive. When you are able to apply your focus on something that you do hands-on, such as sculpting, painting, cooking, gardening, knitting, and so on. You are practicing attention, and each step requires your focus in order to excel each step into the next. As you are focusing on what your hands are doing, you are developing your will that stems from the central core of your being. When you look to find what the source of your attention is, you understand where your attention at that moment is coming from. This is not something you do by merely thinking about what something could be, it is something that requires direct action from you to look and to see. This reminds you about your will and direction. It also provides you answers that you may have been looking for. Is it then possible to become your attention? Yes, and we encourage each of you to unite and join forces with your attention. This means you are not just going through the motions to learn what has your attention or where your focus is coming from. You are the one who is looking, you are the one who is seeking and seeing. You are also the one who is paying attention, even to these words that we are sharing here today. By focusing inward and becoming a conscious observer, you are helping to become more of your authentic self by your will in action. You no longer speak as, "This is my will," instead you choose to describe your will as, "our will." After practicing and working on expanding your attention and focus, a deeper understanding of yourself becomes evident and personal growth is established. Making a choice is related to making a decision. But they are not always the same. If you think about it, dear ones, sometimes your choices are merely one favorite winning over other competitive favorites or inclinations, and sometimes one of your choices may be directed by a heated emotions such as fear, greed, lust or anxiety. Understand these are not choices, instead they are the abandonment of choice, where you become a little less of your real, natural self, by allowing yourself to be controlled by habits, thoughts, and emotions that have been led by reactions. To make a true and genuine choice, remember the action must be free of attachment, and provide freedom to your inner self. Comprehend, dear ones, a choice made freely, without fear or contamination of anger or emotion is a choice that is acquainted with your conscience, the very part of you that is interwoven with wisdom, the special part of you that is able to determine the truth. A choice that is free responds to what is necessary or fitting for the situation it is needed for. There is no need for a storehouse of answers or previously conceived patterns of emotions or thoughts. We know determining the difference can be just as big a challenge as learning to become more attentive, but neither is impossible when you are applying your heart and soul and apply the will to change. Making a good, sound decision is your right, and you are born with this ability. It is up to you to exercise this essential part of you and to put your will into action more often. You may not think externally making good decisions matter, but internally it does. Sometimes all you need to do is look or think about what the differences are depending on the action you take. A simple, thinking before you leap, offers a lot of insight and invaluable information on how to proceed right according to what you feel to be truthful and sound at that moment. The practice of meditation is a perfect example of applying focus and attention. As you try to relax, the mental chatter and busyness of your mind seems to never end, but as you allow your thoughts to pass by focusing on your breathing, you discover you become more anchored in the spacious, timelessness of your consciousness through which your very thoughts pass. Here is a beautiful crossing point between what is known to unknown or between time and timeless. Remember, your will comes from consciousness, which means it is derived from a deeper and more profound level of the timeless through the realm of will. It is when you finally arrive with your will from the timeless into time, you are creating a moment that has often been referred to as a flash of destiny creation. Try to think that each act of will that stems from you is also a creative act, and it is through certain acts of will that creates life, even your own life and the life of others. When it comes to spiritual practice, another exercise that works on focus and attention is prayer, and depending on the depth of your prayer, you will be reaching out and up towards the divine, towards the hands of God. When you reach beyond yourself, you have opened a doorway that leads to the core of God's precious heart. With each reach and genuine prayer that is spoken aloud or in silence, are acts of will. And it's because of your will and divine action that reaffirms your connection with God's will and the divine realm. Any action spent in prayer helps to propel your ability to transform what was into what is, in the here and now, that is pure and genuine, coming from the very core of your being. You are able to serve a much greater wholeness than you may have thought as you reach upward towards God, and when your actions demonstrate your pureness in each movement and moment. Even if you are not spiritually inclined, you can appreciate the value of good focus and attention when applied to work, home, and to your personal life. When your friend looks at you when you are talking, but they are not even getting half of what you are saying because they are not attentively listening, you can understand this importance and why it is necessary for it to be further developed. Make it a point each day to focus a little more, to pay attention to life and others that are constantly moving in and around you, and focus into your inner person more often. You can learn so much about yourself each day just by paying attention, and not just to the big things that are easily recognizable, but to the small things that you have overlooked before. Everything has a reason to cross your path. It is up to you to figure out the why and not to always look for the negatives when there are just as many positives to discover. And so it is. I'm Ascended Master, El Morya, through Julie Miller. SpiritualNetworks.com